Woe be unto him who opens one of the 7 gateways to hell, because through that gateway evil will invade the world.
Valentine's Day is a curse that'll live on, and no one will know as the years come and go of the horror from long time ago. In this little town, when the 14th comes round, there's a silence and fear in the air. Remember the morn that the legend was born, all the shock and the horror was there. Oh, the legend, they say, on a Valentine's Day is a curse that'll live on, and no one will know as the years come and go of the horror from long time ago. And no one will know as the years come and go of the horror from long time ago.
How's she doing?
Fine, but we have 2 more in labor.
You sure can forget about watching that eclipse. We'd better get on in.
I'm here with Rebecca Rinehart, director, actor, podcaster, and we're here to discuss a 1981 movie that I know she's a huge fan of, and it is Bloody Birthday, directed by Ed Hunt. And I could have always swore this movie was Canadian. I just always felt it was Canadian. It is not Canadian. But yeah, it is one of the few killer kids movies, I guess, of 1981, along with The Pit, which is Canadian. But yeah, some people consider it a slasher. I don't really, maybe a little bit, but not necessarily. But yeah, it's kind of a wild killer kids movie because it's a little different because it has multiple kids, right? And it's not in the vein of something like Who Can Kill a Child or Children of the Corn, where it's like the entire town or anything like that. So yeah, what are your initial thoughts on Bloody Birthday? What's your history with it?
So I'm of a certain age, and I don't know what your age is. Like, do you mind saying what year you were born?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I just look old, but I was born in 86.
Okay. Well, no, I thought you were younger than I was. Okay, so this movie, I was born in 76. Okay. And this movie it's become like a time capsule for me. Like, it encapsulates so much about the early 80s. And I can see where you say Canadian. I think a lot of movies back then were made in Canada, and that might be why too. But, you know, like they don't have any like real names in this movie, whatever. Yeah. It has all the hallmarks of a Canadian horror movie. But I didn't watch this, I'm sure, when I was little, because I didn't really start watching horror till I was at least 8 or 9. So I probably started renting it when I was a teenager because it's got great cover art. You can't deny that. Of course, it has nothing to do with the movie, which is another thing that really endears me to a movie. Strangely enough, you know, like the hand-drawn, you know, like shopping mall thing, like where it has nothing to do with the movie whatsoever. But I am a big fan of killer kid movies. And in fact, whenever I was looking at 1981, because we will be talking about this golden year of horror, I'm like, oh yeah, 2 of my favorite killer kid movies came out. This and The Pit, which are 2 completely different movies. If you haven't seen The Pit, I won't ruin it for you. Maybe we'll talk. But oh my God, I never watched that movie. I only watched it like in the last 2 years because I thought it was like a kids kind of thing. I thought it was going to be like The Willies or like The Gate, like some kind of watered down kids type thing. Holy crap, if you have not watched that one, The Pit is not a kids movie.
Not at all. That movie is severely underrated and also on drugs.
It is so messed up in so many ways. I love it. But this one is probably my favorite killer kid movie. I am a huge fan. I am terrified still by Debbie. I think it's really good in a way that Elizabeth Hoy didn't do anything else. Because like, had she kept acting and we knew her as an adult or saw her in interviews or whatever, maybe she wouldn't be so terrifying. But my God, the fact that she's just kind of like freeze framed, you know, as a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
And she's just, and you know, like her nickname, and it's Angel Face. And she looks like an angel. And that to me is terrifying. Now we've got Curtis, who is Billy Jacoby, Billy Jayne, whatever you want to call him. I think most of us probably knew him first from just One of the Guys. So we already kind of knew him as an asshole. And so his character isn't like a big change. It's just like, oh, hey, look, it's young buddy, you know? And then you've got Steven, Steven is like so useless. When I was watching it this time, I was like,
he's lame.
He doesn't do anything. He's just the muscle. Like he's just there to carry the bodies. But I think it's a really good dynamic with the 3 of them. But really, like, they could have just done it with Curtis and Debbie, I think, honestly.
But 3 adds a whole new layer. When there's 3 of them, you're like, and they don't even know that there's 3 of them. They think it's really just Curtis until the very end. And they're like, shit, there's 3 of them that are like this.
Right. And how... How, like, nobody realizes that Debbie is a complete psychopath, I have no idea. Like, I think it's just they're blinded by the blonde hair and the blue eyes.
No doubt.
Hey, Daddy, because it's like, oh my God, she's so messy. Like, she just gets her goons to come clean up all of her shit for her, but it's like, she's just, like, careless about everything.
She has a scrapbook. She has a fucking scrapbook. But,
Which I did. Okay, so I was looking at the trivia on IMDb before, like as I was watching it this time. And I had never noticed this, but all the scrapbook articles, like where you see like the sheriff or whatever. Like the headline says like local sheriff dies or something, but the text is like further plans for the multiplex, blah blah blah. Like all the articles are like
just complete bullshit.
Yes, just something else. So I love little things like that. So
this one is kind of strange because it's oh, sorry, if you want to complete your thought.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was going to say it's essentially a Bad Seed meets the Village of the Damned, because you have the weird kind of almost, I guess, supernatural element from Beyond the Stars maybe playing a factor in the Village of the Damned style, but then you have Debbie, who is straight cut out of Bad Seed. That's Patty McCormick, and she's excellent. I mean, Bad Seed's a great film. So, and I feel like it's just the best of both worlds. I mean, it's superior to Children of the Corn. Who Can Kill a Child's also another one, but that's more of a zombie kind of like over the, you know what I mean?
Right. And like The Children is another one that I like, but again, the children are they're more like zombie vibe.
Yeah, that's a great one too.
They're under the influence of something, which I guess you could say the three of them are, but really it's just, we have the whole astrology thing where Joyce,
which is silly, but
right. Like, why is she sitting there doing the neighbor girl's chart or astrological chart? Like, wow, you really need a life. You need some friends.
She was ahead of her time.
Apparently.
She was way ahead of her time, because now that would be like the normal. It's like, see, they're bad. No, the remake of this would be bad because their crystals are off or something along those lines.
Or because somebody did like an internet, like an OMG like game and found out that they were like evil or something. Your neighbor is a psychopath. They
did an online seance and they lost their souls at birth. They did online baptism or something that went wrong, and they all lost their souls.
But no, like this. There are so many things about this movie that I love. Okay, and I looked at, like, whenever I was looking this up on IMDb today, I always thought it was Lori Lethin. Apparently, she pronounces her name Lori Lethin. Okay.
Fancy.
I always really liked her. Like, she was in The Prey. She was in a couple other, like, non-horror things. She retired in the 90s from acting. But I like her as the sister. But what kind of town do these people live in? Or not even a town, the neighborhood.
It's strange.
Like, okay, so the kids all play in a junkyard that is presumably like
and
2
everybody
blocks
has sex
away.
in the junkyard too.
Yes, they have sex in the junkyard and the graveyard. Don't forget that.
Yeah. That's what I mean. They do both go to both. No, they screw in the graveyard. They play in the junkyard. What are they like from Tromaville?
Yeah, and like, whenever they're at Debbie's house and she's in that pagoda thing that she has in the backyard, I have written down here, let's see. They all live next to the junkyard, and Debbie's fence is made out of Triscuits. Like, her fence seriously looks like it's some kind of flimsy, like, tiki porch material or something. Like, and then, okay, so, just fast forwarding, you said you don't go through chronologically or anything.
No,
just talking about it.
Sticks out to you.
Okay, so I've always thought maybe it was budget constraints. Maybe it was like to just have the kids be on their own. So Stephen, he has no parents. Like, Stephen's lame. So we never see the parents of his. Then, I'm going to call him Buddy, but that's not his name. Curtis lives with his grandpa.
Yeah.
Okay, so we actually see grandpa interact with him. But like, we've got Debbie's mom. Since dad dies very early on. Yeah. But the parents of Joyce and Timmy, it's so fucking hilarious. So they're on vacation.
Yeah, and the dad's a known actor too. Like, he's in the hidden. Like, you recognize him. Like, that's that guy from all those movies. Why is he not in this?
Right. And then they get on the phone and it's Charlie Brown's parents. Like,
yeah.
What the hell?
He sounds almost like the guy from the early Cronenberg movies, Silver, who has a really deep voice. That almost sounds fake. Like, that's not his voice, is it? You're like, it is his voice. Yeah. He does sound like that. It sounds like he's underwater.
But yeah, like, so the entire movie is basically people are getting murdered in this tiny town where everybody knows each other. And like, all the daughters, like, oh, don't worry, mom and dad, like, like, we don't want them to come home. We don't want to ruin their vacation. Are you freaking kidding me? Okay, the sheriff that lives next door to you died. Okay, granted, that one could have been an accident, big air quotes. But then it's like, okay, two of your peers got murdered.
Yeah.
And then the kid's teacher gets shot at school. And they still have the kids go to school. What the hell kind of town is this?
And then they have a kid's birthday party where no one seems to worry. And like no one is worried about anything. It's strange. And the way that people are murdered, there's no pattern. One's in broad daylight, one's at night, different locations, different murder methods. It's strange.
Yeah. But yeah, there's never okay. And then in the midst of all of that, so we've got murders going on, and then Joyce ends up at the junkyard, and gets like almost run over by a car. And the cop is just like, well, I don't see anybody here now. Like, dude, she just almost got murdered.
Nonchalant.
You have murders going on in the town. Do you think they might be related?
What's the one movie with it's an 80s slasher with the laziest cop? Death Screams. That sheriff is the only sheriff lazier than these ones. Maybe besides Final Exam from this year. That is a really awful sheriff too. He's just like, I don't know, I'm not coming there. That's a prank. Like everything's a prank, so he refuses to show up. And then like what's the one I just said? Death Screams. The sheriff at the very end, the girl's like in panic, and she's like, why? And the sheriff's like, I don't know. He literally is like, that's all he says. He's just like, he's all non-committal. He's like, I don't know.
Now, to be fair with the Bloody Birthday police force, I mean, their sheriff did just die, and then they had to put some dolt in his position who doesn't know what he's doing. So
he had no idea what's going on.
They have an excuse, I guess.
I feel horrible for Debbie's mom. Because Debbie's mom, I love her character arc because she snaps. Like she's just, I don't care. She knows Debbie's a killer. And by the end of that, she knows right from the fucking Just don't give a fuck. She has like post-traumatic stress disorder big time.
Yeah, I mean, because the thing with her is she's had the perfect family this whole time. You know, she has a loving husband. She's got 2 daughters, that are, they're pretty and they're, whatever the hell whatever the 80s success rate there is, they're alive, they're doing their thing. But like in one moment, her whole world falls apart and then it just keeps crumbling. I don't know why she didn't off herself, to be honest with you, but
I would have thought about it.
So at the end, obviously, her thing is she knows Debbie's a killer, but she's already lost her husband and her other daughter. She's not going to lose another one. You see that resolve in her at the end. And originally that was supposed to be a setup for a sequel. That of Debbie, who now she's Beth, and her mom are on the run. But the movie didn't do well enough to warrant a sequel. I thought that would have been kind of cool because the boys presumably went to juvie, so they could always make it to where it was like a couple years later they get out and then they all get back together and start killing again. But there's something we'll never see.
Would you have gave it a title kind of like Hello, Mary Lou Prom Night 2? Just like Debbie's out or Debbie on the run or some shit like that from Bloody Birthday 2.
Debbie does Denver.
Debbie does Denver Prom Night, Bloody Birthday 2. I feel like you follow Debbie, but then you can't call it Bloody Birthday because there's the whole gimmick of they're all born on the same day during is it a solar eclipse? So you're like, I don't like, but I don't know how you would you call it Bloody Birthday 2? It's such a bad title.
Yeah, I mean, you would have to bring the boys back somehow. Yeah. Like I said, she could break them out, or they could be in juvie and get out like on good behavior or some crap. You
could do a Mother's Day thing where the mom is convinced and breaks the kids out, and she's all fucked up and she goes completely ballistic. You know what I mean? That would be cool.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We're writing this movie right now. We're doing Bloody Birthday Part 2.
I know. This would be awesome. But the birthday party. That's the other thing that's really odd about
a great scene.
This thing. It's a great scene, but first of all, again, what kind of town does everybody come to a 10-year-old's birthday party?
Well, I feel like it was a gimmick. You know what I mean? Like, you know how like My Bloody Valentine's named Valentine's Bluff or something, so everyone makes a big deal out of Valentine's Day? I feel like this town's call to fame was 3 kids born on the same day. So they're like, it's the 3 kids born on the same day. That's all we got. And a junkyard and a graveyard. That's all we have going on for us right now.
It's on their sign as you drive into town.
It would have been funny
if 3 kids born on the same day.
They called the graveyard after the 3 kids, like 3 Burst or something like that. Free Burst Graveyard. Like the irony is that they're filling it up themselves.
Yes.
But the doctor is Jose Ferrer, who's like a big actor. He's in this for 5.5 seconds. He's also in The Bean. I think he's in The Bean, which is technically wide released 83, but I think it was made in 81 and had its screenings in 81, some of them by Jackie Kong. I believe he's in The Bean as well from this year. But yeah, he's in a million movies. Jose Ferrer is the like actor. Well, he's like in any European horror movie too. You're like, oh, we got like 12 guys. He's got Arthur Kennedy and Jose Ferrer in it. Who else do we got?
Yeah.
Mel Ferrer. Are they related? No, but they're both in it.
We just like the name. But so going back to, you know, this being a time capsule, like there's one thing that just really stands out about this movie, I guess, that to the point where I have trouble watching it. So if you were born in a very specific window, and I was thinking it maybe is like you were born in like 68 to 78, maybe. The thought of being locked in a refrigerator was terrifying. It was one of those stupid things that they made us all think we were going to die in a refrigerator, or like if we didn't know stop, drop, and roll, we were going to die from a
we
fire.
Thought quicksand. We thought we were going to die in quicksand. Yes, that was us. Or killer bees.
Right. So refrigerators were ours. I actually looked this up a couple years ago. Because I'm like, did kids really, like, was there just a rash of like children death from refrigerators? Well, kind of what happened was in the late 70s, the old school refrigerators, you know, that had the latch type thing on it. Yeah. Well, we got the modern ones with the seal, like the vacuum seal. And so in the late 70s, early 80s, a lot of people were getting rid of the old ones and getting the new modern ones. Yeah. That's why. There were actually like a significant number of incidents to have warranted the amount of panic, which was kind of funny because most of that shit was like totally vacuous, you know, like
candy being poisoned and stuff like that.
Right.
Like happened once, and it was the dad killing his own kids. You know what I mean? So it's like
free drugs, razor blades in the apples, you know, all
satanic
that shit.
Panic.
Oh God, that's a whole other that's a whole other thing. But yeah, like whenever he gets locked in that refrigerator, man, I'm claustrophobic anyway, but like I get PTSD from like the Punky Brewster episode where Cherry gets stuck in the fucking freezer and like they have to give her CPR. She actually like fucking dies. They have to give her CPR. Like, I'm traumatized by this.
I don't remember. I didn't watch that. That TV show aired from when?
It was my contemporary. So, like, she was like late, like mid 80s, and she was my age.
But I feel like I should have seen like, maybe a couple episodes, but I don't remember the show, honestly.
Oh, well, I mean, but the show was just like, yay! And, you know, of course, every one of those yay shows has to have this week on a very special episode of Punky Brewster. Cherry flatlines and Punky has to give her CPR. I mean, they're like 8-year-old girls, you know, like.
They always had those weird episodes. Like a lot of times, those are the things that actually traumatize people. Is the weird one-off episodes for some reason.
Oh, right, like different strokes, killed the innocence of a generation with the bicycle shop episode.
Because it's the one with the pedophile, right?
Yes.
Did you ever notice that? I didn't notice this when I was listening to the commentaries. And Michael Dudikoff is the older sister's who gets the arrow in the eye's boyfriend. Dudikoff.
Oh, really?
From like Avenging Force and American Ninja and those movies. I was like, that's not. I went and re-looked. I was like, oh shit, it really was him. He has like one.
I mean, he was only in it for like 3 minutes, you know. But
same screen time as Jose Ferrer, just less lines.
Yeah, there you go. Which makes it almost even more Canadian, you know, that they have people who ended up kind of being pseudo big names, but only in it for like 20 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a tax shelter movie. This feels like a tax shelter movie, which is, I was like, oh, this is Canadian. It's not. I'm like, this is not a tax shelter movie. Like, this is not like, is the Boogans Canadian? Like, the Boogans should be Canadian too. I don't know if it is, but it should be.
You know, I don't know, but that's another one of my favorite movies from this fucking year. I love the Boogans, which I'm sorry, but like, if you listen to the commercial, they say the Bogans, which is so wrong.
It's
no, I mean,
Boogans.
Yeah, it has 2 fucking O's in it, and it comes from like boogeyman. Like, come on, people. But that does feel very Canadian. You know, and then we had My Bloody Valentine, which is of course
Canadian.
Canadian, yes.
And then The Pit as well, which is very Canadian. I mean, My Bloody Valentine, every time I talk about it, I have to make a joke. It's like, I lost my ass out there. It's like, that's the most Canadian horror movie of all time. Like, I just can't stop. Like, I started laughing. It's so regional and Canadian. It's so funny.
Oh my God, TJ, like, he tries so hard to not be Canadian, and he just can't.
Well, the handkerchief is what just like ruins everything about that guy. You're like, what the fuck is that? He's supposed to be a top badass. He's got a handkerchief. You're like, hey, 81 was a different time, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was a wonderful time, though. Like, so if we are speaking about, you know, 81, I'm looking up the Boogans right now because I'm like, okay, I got to figure that one out. Because
I think I should. Go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead and say that. I'm going to look up the Boogans and see its nation
if
of
it's
origin.
Canadian.
Yeah.
It's probably filmed in Wisconsin. But the weird thing is there's like 4 or 5 movies that came out in 81 all about birthdays. So, of course, you have Bloody Birthday.
Happy birthday to me, of course.
Which I think is Canadian too, but doesn't feel like it because it's very expensive, which is a great movie. I love Happy Birthday to Me. Then we have Allison's Birthday, which is an Australian one. And then the last one is Madhouse, which is the Ovidio movie about the twin sister, and it's leading up to her birthday. I love that movie.
Yeah.
That's a great one. And she has she lives in the house with the top apartment, and like the dog. The sister had the dog, and she uses it to kill people. It's a great one. I love that. That's an underrated one from 81. It's very weird.
The Boogans was filmed in Colorado and Utah.
What?
Wow.
No.
Yeah. So even expensive American like locations. Yeah. Wow, that's kind of impressive.
That is impressive. I would have guessed, you know, Wisconsin, UP, Michigan, or Canada. Honestly.
Yeah.
Midwest or something. No. Not in Colorado.
Yeah, definitely in the 80s. I mean, not like it's changed very much over the last decades. You know, obviously there tends to be some like successful movie and then everybody just latches onto it. And 81 was like the year of the slasher. And in fact, I mean, Student Bodies came out that year.
Making fun of them, which is perfect.
Which starts out, says, This movie was based on a true story. Last year, so and so many horror movies came out. Every single one of them made money. You know,
I love Student Bodies. By the way,
I love
that's
Student
a great
Bodies.
One. That's the only parody one that I love. Like, I think like Saturday the 14th, the same year, is a pile of crap.
Yeah, that to me is like a little kids movie. And Student Bodies, it does kind of poop out towards the end. You know, but still, it's got enough in it to where it stays with you. It's
got a joke every 3 seconds and only like half of them work. But if you're like, what was that? And then you start laughing like after, because you forgot the bad joke and you're laughing at a new joke, you know?
Mm-hmm. And then, actually looking at this list of 81 movies, I like of my top 100 movies of all time, probably not even horror, like 25 of them easily come from this year. Like American Werewolf in London, Evil Dead, Friday the 13th Part 2, my favorite movie of all time.
So I'll go down the list and see which one you like better or worse than Bloody Birthday. I'll do that. So like whichever ones we do that, we'll do a slew of them. All right. If you want.
And this is going to be tough. I got to say, because, you know, probably in my top 10 of this year are all just very thin margins away from each other. Okay. So this is going to be challenging.
Killer kid movies first, though. Do you like this better than The Bad Seed?
Yes, I do.
Who can kill a child?
I've seen that movie, but I don't really remember it. So I have to say Bloody Birthday on that one.
Do you like it better than Village of the Damned?
Yes.
Do you like it better than The Children, 1980?
Yeah. But that Children is probably number 3 behind this one and The Pit.
Oh, The Pit's great too. So, okay. We already got The Pit on there. So,
yeah.
What about The Children 2008?
No. I don't even remember that one.
It's actually pretty good. Like, and I think I had to watch it for a show, or it's pretty violent, actually. Like, all the kids go completely monstrous and start trying to kill the parents, and the parents actually fight back. So they're like killing kids. It's just like, wow.
Nice.
Children of the Corn.
Nah. I've never been a huge fan of Children of the Corn. I mean, I
okay.
like it, but it just, I don't know. There's something missing with it, and the little hillbilly kids kind of get on my nerves.
I think 2 and 3 are much more fun. And then the rest, I just don't even bother with.
Yeah.
So basically, I guess we're going to go through 1981 movies. So better or worse, all you got to say is Bloody Birthday or which one you prefer. Possession.
Bloody Birthday.
Evil Dead.
It's like Sophie's Choice, but I'm going to say The Evil Dead.
An American Werewolf in London.
God, you're really putting me on the spot here, but stylistically, American Werewolf in London, but probably rewatchability, I tend to enjoy Bloody Birthday more.
Halloween 2.
Bloody Birthday.
Scanners.
Bloody Birthday.
Friday 2.
No, it's got to be Friday 2. Friday 2's top of the heap.
The Beyond.
Bloody Birthday.
My Bloody Valentine.
Ooh, now that one is super close. But I think I'm gonna have to go with My Bloody Valentine. My Bloody Valentine, the newer uncut version.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, let's go with that.
The Howling.
Oh no, Bloody Birthday. I do not like The Howling. I'm not big into werewolf movies anyway, but there's something about The Howling I just can't stand.
I like The Howling, but I just can't. It's American Werewolf for me all day.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The Burning.
Oh, it's got to be Burning.
Thank you. I feel like The Burning's taken so much shit lately. I don't know why.
Yeah. I'm
a huge fan of it.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite one. The Funhouse.
Bloody Birthday, but The Funhouse is a fun movie.
Underrated.
Yeah.
Dead and Buried.
Kind of.
Oh,
yeah, that Funhouse kind of got, I think, it's funny that now it's dead and buried, but I was going to say the Funhouse kind of got buried underneath a lot of these movies. Oh. There are some movies in 81 that would have been really big if they had been released in like 82 or 83.
Oh, 83 and 84 are a little, ugh.
Yeah, it's just 81 was so oversaturated. Dead and Buried, that is a movie that, like, when I was a kid, the cover art scared the crap out of me. And, like, but then I watched it not too long ago, like within the last 5 to 10 years or whatever, the first time I saw it. And I was like, this is kind of lame. It's just sort of Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh, I'm a huge fan of Dead and Buried.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to revisit because I guess I had it in my head that it was going to be terrifying because it had the girl's face kind of halfway out in
it's a great cover.
Desert. Yeah, the cover is great, and like the movie just had nothing to do with it, and so which contradicts one of the first things that I said here.
I'm trying to look at these covers. Which ones are not fitting? I mean, Scanners is the most obviously, like, it is in the movie, so you can't argue that. But like,
The Burning is spot on.
Yeah.
My Bloody Valentine, Halloween 2's, just the pumpkin kind of thing. Evil Dead. Yeah, most of these are actually pretty spot on.
House by the Cemetery.
Yeah, Bloody Birthday.
Road Games.
Yeah. Bloody Birthday. This is obviously one of my favorite movies of the year.
The Prowler.
Okay, now we're starting to get a little warmer here. I'm gonna say Bloody Birthday, but still The Prowler, it is kind of boring. That's what a lot of people, their complaint about it is. But I like the story and I love the kills.
It kind of suffers just because it's so similar to My Bloody Valentine, just not as good.
Exactly. And then there are like too many Friday the 13th Part 2 things where you kind of get the impression that Tom Savini read the script before That was always my thing. Like the whole
it's a good idea.
Under the bed.
Same scene. It's the same shot.
It's the same thing. And I'm like, the only explanation is he was saying fuck you to Friday the 13th, the franchise, because he said he didn't want to do part 2 because he's like, we killed Jason. So it almost feels like he was like, well, you know what, I'm going to do this other movie and fuck you, I'm going to use your script.
And he did it with The Burning too. He's like, hey, I saw that campfire scene in Friday 2. I'll just put it in The Burning. I'm just.
You know what? I never made that connection that all three of those were the same year. That's hilarious.
Yeah. I never thought about the burning too, because he always, to be funny, is Savini always takes credit for shit. Remember in I just watched The Nightmares in a Damaged Brain, also the same year, and there's the scene in there, right, where the kid looks in the mirror. And at the big revealing moment, he was like, "Yeah, I think I remember telling them that he should look in the mirror." I'm like, "Bullshit, Savini. You don't remember a goddamn thing in the movie. You're there one day. You take credit for the pivotal point of the movie flashback."
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
You just
he always sounds like he was like the creative consultant on all of his movies, and it's like, dude, you did the effects. You know, somebody.
I believe it on some of them, but not on the movie that you didn't even want to be credited on.
Yeah.
But then we have Happy Birthday to Me.
The movie wise, Bloody Birthday. But my God, that poster, like, that haunts me. Like, I still have it in my house now. Like, whenever I was a kid, I saw that shish kebab, and I was like, oh my God, that's so kick ass. You know,
and that dude doesn't even die like that. I mean, the guy does, but not.
It's not even the same guy.
Matt Craven
it's not
in
that
the movie.
Guy.
It's Craven. It's Matt Craven, isn't it?
Well,
I think it is.
Well, and also there's one of the theatrical posters that say something about like
10 strange, bizarre deaths, and there's only like 7 deaths.
Yes, but there's one that says something like Richie didn't expect what he got, or something, like a name that's not even in the movie. Like, not only do you put somebody on the poster who is like not the person who gets shish kebab, but you use a name that doesn't even work.
Can you imagine some guy going up and complaining? He's like, I saw this on the poster, and there was nobody named Richie in here. Like, man, get the fuck out of here.
You know what?
Say back in the 80s, I'm like, go away.
In the 80s, never would have happened. Today, everywhere.
People are suing now because it's like they're like suing because it takes longer than 60 seconds to cook a hot pocket or some shit. I don't.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what's happening. But Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker.
Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker.
Good call.
Fucking love that movie. Yeah, that was one that I brought to the Slumber Party Massacre podcast. Shameless plug. That I was like, I knew the girls were going to be like, what in the fuck did you make me watch, Rebecca? But this movie, like, there are very few movies. I think you probably have the same thing. There are very few movies that I've watched that I didn't watch ever before, like from this era.
Yeah.
That I'm like, holy crap, how did I miss this and whatnot? It was like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, Exploding Heads did like just like every slasher from the 80s or whatever. And this was a movie that they were like, how in the fuck have we never heard of this movie? You know, and now it's like Joe Bob did it and stuff. So, I mean, everybody kind of knows it now. But man, that movie is fucking fantastic.
It's a great movie.
And you want to talk
Tyrell's
about
amazing.
And bad police work. Bo Svensson in that. Oh my God.
He's
Boy,
the best
are
villain.
you a queer?
No, the best part of that whole movie is like, no, you can't shoot like that. You got to kind of bend your wrist like this. He's like, it'd be too hard for you. I was like, oh my God. I was like, brilliant acting. He's a good actor. I mean, he's always fun, like in everything.
He is, but
what's that really stupid movie, Beyond the Door 3, Amok Train? He's fucking great in that. He's like fucking insane. He's also in that stupid Killer Baboon movie, Primal Rage, which is fun. He's like a doctor. Which is
I don't think I've
worst
seen that one.
That's silly.
Yeah.
Like it's the precursor to 20 Days Later. Like literally baboons with rabies are giving people rabies. It's insane.
Oh.
We got Dark Knight of the Scarecrow. That's the one for me. I had heard of it, never watched it. That was the one that out of all the 81 movies, I was like, I never saw Dark Knight of the Scarecrow.
I never watched it because it was made for TV. And like, and this is the thing too here. It's like The Elder, you know, I'm going to help all of you out there in listening land. There are so many movies that were made for TV that I just totally didn't watch because they were made for TV. But like, for some reason, there was kind of this pocket, maybe 78 to like 83 or something, where TV movies kicked ass.
They're awesome.
And like, this movie, and again, this is one of those ones that I thought was going to be like the Willies or whatever, because, you know, it's a little kid and blah, blah, blah. And it's
why are you hating on the Willies? It's guaranteed to give you the willies. I mean, the director is a pedophile, though, so I mean that's a good way.
Well, that can be said about a lot of the things we talk about, but a lot of people work on movies, so do not diss a movie just. I
still love the willies. I'll buy the willies when it hits Blu-ray. I don't care.
I was I was not a boy. I was not a little boy, so I don't like the willies. And I was never a huge fan of Monster Squad. Those are like the two that all the boys are like,
I feel like those movies are such movies that if you didn't see it at a young age, you're just like I'm talking like 5 to like 12. You're just like, I don't.
Right.
Same with Goonies too. Yeah. And I love all those movies, but like I saw those from age like 4 to like 10.
Right. You had to, you had to have them imprinted at a certain time. But Dark Knight of the Scarecrow, it has absolutely no gore, and that actually works in its favor somehow. Like,
it's a great movie.
It's a really great movie. I still am gonna say Bloody Birthday, but Dark Knight of the Scarecrow, yes, that's the same for me. I probably only watched it maybe for the first time like 5 years ago, and I was like, holy crap.
Wolfen?
I don't think I've ever seen that.
It's better than you'd think. That was one I always kept turning off because I was like, I was a kid when I tried to watch it. And I was like, this is kind of boring. As an adult, you're like, no, it's pretty good. But as a kid, you're like, this ain't for me.
Yeah, because it's like Albert Finney and like a cop kind of thing, right? Yeah. Like that doesn't appeal to me, I guess. But maybe
it's
I
more
need to
horror
watch
than you think. I mean, it's just wolves ripping apart rich people, so it's kind of cool.
There you go.
Deadly Blessing.
Bloody Birthday, but I do like Deadly Blessing. I haven't seen
better
that in
than its reputation.
Mm-hmm.
Madman.
Oh, Madman. I'm sorry, but like Madman is one of. I think a lot of my love for it is nostalgic. I will be 100% honest because 1981 we have already said The Burning, we said Friday the 13th Part 2, and Madman. And they are 3 movies that have a lot of similar scenes, similar plots, whatever. And like if you had to rank them though, like everybody would be like kind of toggling between The Burning and Friday the 13th Part 2, but nobody's going to put Madman at the top of that list. It's not good. But there are some things I fucking love about it. One thing that I love about this movie, and I have done podcasts on Madman. I was going to say I could do a whole podcast on Madman. Yeah, I could. One thing I love about that movie is that the people who are in it are not overly attractive. They're just normal looking people. Like I've often said, there's like the one couple where the woman has an overbite and the guy has a mustache, and I always said like if you put them together, you get Freddie Mercury. Like they're not attractive people. They're not great actors or anything like that, but they're very like relatable, and I like that more. It adds to the quote unquote fear. But the thing I love about that movie is when my kid was little, before we had streaming, just pipe in some of the old time West music every time I talk. But we had a system, a satellite system called Voom. It was a short-lived thing, but it was all HD. And I was one of those idiots back in the day. Like you'd walk into Best Buy, they'd always have the TV in the front that you're not, like you're supposed to look at and go, ooh, but like you're not actually going to have it in your house for 5 years. Like I would always buy that one, so like I had a HD TV before there was any kind of content. So I was really like, I got this Voom pretty fast, which was pretty thin on content, not because the company had any, control over it. I mean, it's just there wasn't a lot of HD stuff, but there was one channel called Monsters HD.
I remember.
I loved it. That channel, like, it's really what got me into like the quote unquote horror community. It was the first time I started doing like chats on their website and stuff, because it was like the first time that I found other people who were, because this is like 2005, 6, 7, 8, very like early 2000s, before the internet was the internet that we know today.
Yeah.
But like every time the theme song would come on, which is fucking fantastic.
Yeah, it's got a great song.
My kiddo, my 3-year-old, would like run into the room and go, "Are we watching Madman Mars? Madman Mars?" And it's like, so I would sit down and watch this with my kid, like my toddler. Yes, I know. Say what you want, people. My kid
It's not that bad.
No, but there are other things that probably most parents would be like, you suck. But I just, it's one of those things that, like, we had this little bonding thing where we'd watch Mad Man Mars. And so I think that's part of why I like it too. But yes, Mad Men is. I have an original theatrical poster that I'm looking at right now on my wall. Mad Men.
It's got regional charm coming out of its ears. There's a lot of slashers from this year that have a lot of regional charm, and Mad Men is super regional. I mean, and that the campfire story, it ranks up there. I think it's probably it might be the best campfire story just because the way it's done.
Yeah, it could be, except for the one thing that this movie kind of poops out on, and again, this might be budgetary constraints, the fact that there are like more counselors than kids during this, like,
I feel like there's not even any kids there. Like, I feel like, you know what I mean?
There are a few, because that's what the main girl gets mad at TP, which again, oh my god, that fucking belt buckle that he has that says TP. Oh my god. But TP, she tells TP, oh hey, you scared the little kids and blah blah blah. But
good. Kids need to get scared.
I like the opening campfire scene with the stupid song, and I mean, it's not really stupid. It's actually, I mean, that one is probably the creepiest of the three.
It's got also My Bloody Valentine has the theme music too, and that one's going to be hard to beat. My Bloody Valentine is music is amazing. It's like professionally done.
The end of it is like, and the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
It sounds exactly like Gordon Lightfoot. Exactly. I swear to God, it was. Was Gordon Lightfoot Canadian?
Yes. Oh my God, he was so Canadian. Canadian.
It's so funny. Like, Gordon Lightfoot, do you want to do My Bloody Valentine? No. And then like, look at somebody else.
Well, we're gonna find somebody else. Yeah, Gordon Lightfoot impersonator.
I feel like it could have been Gordon Lightfoot. Just Before Dawn.
Okay. This one is, I'm going to say Just Before Dawn is better than My Bloody Valentine. It's not really, but Just Before Dawn, it actually influenced the movie that I'm working on right now. Because unlike most movies of this era, these people are adults. They're not super old, but they're like in their 20s. The one guy is actually inheriting land. He's going to a place that belongs to him legally, and they still get, massacred. And I really love that idea of, like, it's not kids being kids and doing dumb kid shit. Yeah. It's adults being exactly where they're supposed to be. And so this is, whenever you see Tin Roof, another shameless plug, that is one of the big influencers of that, because I really wanted to make a camp slasher that was for my generation, like that I was represented. And Just Before Dawn and Final Terror is the other one that.
It's a good one too.
Yeah, I mean, they're not the greatest movies, and they didn't have the. Just Before Dawn, I think, could have done better if it came out a different year.
Yeah.
And if it were a little slicker. It almost looks like a snuff film sometimes, which makes it really good to watch now, but I could see why it didn't get a theatrical buzz.
Yeah, the slickest one of 80, the slasher wise, is The Burning. I think it looks the slickest, and people complain about that, but it's like, well, that one stands out now because all the other ones look so regional and crummy and gritty.
Yeah,
that is kind of cool that The Burning stands out. But Just Before Dawn, I think what suffers now is people go and watch it, they watch the extended cut. And the first time you watch Just Before Dawn, watch the short cut. Watch the theatrical cut. It's faster. It's got the gore. It's just an overall better experience. The extended cut, if you're not a huge fan of it, there's a lot of there's like 15 minutes of padding. You don't want it.
Yeah.
Hell Night.
Bloody Birthday is my preference, but I do love Hell Night. Love seeing Linda Blair and her little outfit the whole time. It's just kind of a fun movie. It's like definitely what people would call a popcorn movie, but I like it.
It's a good movie. Omen 3.
No. I don't mind. Okay. If I say no, that means Bloody Birthday I like better. Okay. Omen 3, I kind of like what they were trying to do, but it was kind of messy.
Yeah, I mean, Cannibal Ferox. Oh.
I watched all three of them. Maybe in the last couple of years, I watched all three of the Omens together, and I had a better appreciation for it when I watched them all in succession.
Yeah.
But as a standalone movie, it's kind of crap.
There's a lot of end of the world stuff going on in this year, but most of them are like really crummy, like low budget Christian movies. But the Omen 3 is like the big one, you know?
Yeah. Cannibal Ferox, I dig it, but again, Bloody Birthday, if I have to pick. Burial
Ground.
Go on with Bloody Birthday, but I do like Burial Ground.
Galaxy of Terror.
It's gonna be Bloody Birthday, but yes, I still like Galaxy of Terror. Like, my God, there were a lot, and I'm not big on sci-fi.
There's just a lot of movies here. Like, so that's why I'm like, I got like 15, 20 more, maybe more, honestly. Like,
wow.
It's hard to say. Normally I'd be like, well, you're not going to like any of these more, but you have, different, wider variety of taste than a lot of other people would. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ghost Story.
That is the one with the old guys,
old
right?
Guys. Yep. Telling stories.
I dig it. It's not going to beat out Bloody Birthday, but I do dig it.
Evil Speak.
I mean, it's got its cheesy charm, but I'm not a huge fan of it. I can't watch it for too long.
That would be you. You would either love it or just like.
I know. I can't look at his doughy face for that long. I'm sorry.
It's so mean just watching him get picked on the whole movie. It's like funny, but also like just mean spirited. But you want him to get funny.
Yeah.
Final Exam.
Ooh. Okay. I always get these confused. Okay, so
Terrorist Attack.
Okay, right. So that's the movie that could not be made today.
Yeah.
Oh my fucking God, because it's Final Exam has Graduation Day footage in it. Is that, or do I have that backwards?
I think that there's another one that has Night Screams. I think has Graduation Day footage in it. That's a 80s slasher one, later slasher.
Yeah, I think I always get Final Exam and Graduation Day mixed up, which are both the same year. But Final Exam, I do dig it. But my God, yeah, that prank with huge fucking air quotes. How dated is that shit?
Dude, how are all 80s pranks dated? They're like, what we're going to do is we're going to make this person sleep with a dead body. It's like, it's a hilarious prank. It's like, that's not a prank.
Exactly.
Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
But you know what? The 80s were a different time.
Yes. Necrophilia. Prank.
Yes, exactly.
Rape.
Yeah.
Prank.
Right.
Peeping Tom. Prank. Stealing underwear. Prank. It's like sex crimes. Sex crimes. That's what that fucking 80s
yeah,
is.
that's exactly it. Yeah.
Black Cat. The Fulci.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, Bloody Birthday. Yeah, I'm okay with Black Cat. I'm not a huge, I'm not a huge Fulci fan, to be honest with you.
Oh, you're killing me. Student Bodies.
We talked about that one briefly. I mean, Bloody Birthday's still gonna be up there, but man, the breather is classic. And I really like the poster on this says something about the first horror parody kind of thing, which is total bullshit. I mean, Abbott and Costello met fucking Frankenstein.
That's what I said. It drove me crazy when people are like, self-awareness was like Scream. It's like, no, bro.
No.
Fucking, if you can go in the 80s, you can go back to fucking. I'm pretty sure Vincent Price knew every fucking time he was hamming it up on the camera.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like, but this one
William
does.
Castle. Period.
Yes. Hello. But that one I think probably was the first. I mean, it was obviously the first slasher
Airplane
parody kind of
right?
thing,
Airplane
right?
Style,
Like just
kind of
just slapstick. There, that's what I was thinking. But yeah.
Nightmares in a Damaged Brain.
I don't think I know that one.
It's just also known as Nightmare.
Oh, okay. It's the guy escapes or gets released or whatever. Yeah,
it's Maniac Meets Halloween.
Yeah, it's a good one, but still going Bloody Birthday.
Monster Club.
Don't even know that one.
It's the anthology.
Okay, I'm looking at it right now, and it looks like a little kids movie. Is it a little kids
cute.
kind of movie?
No.
Okay.
Some of it feels like a little kids movie, but the last story is excellent. The last story
Okay,
with the
I'm gonna
ghouls
have to.
is really
Okay,
creepy.
just put that on my watch list.
Plus, there is a song in there that's very funny. That's you'll get stuck in your head. It's like monsters. You'll hear it and you'll just be stuck in your head.
Okay.
You'll probably still think it's a
Okay.
little kids movie at that point, though. Graduation Day.
Love Graduation Day again. Not going to beat out the other one, but I think it's kind of, I don't know. It's a little different that it's not. I don't know, the way it opens with the girl like collapsing and stuff is just. It just has a different vibe than a lot of these other movies. I like it a lot.
I don't dislike it. Rewatching it was nice. Like I rewatched a lot of these 81 slashers and I hadn't seen them in years and I was like, I like all these. Like there's not one that I think is crap. Like I didn't dislike any of them,
like any of the and you know, like okay, everybody has those things. Like my husband will turn on any war movie and just like he'll go to sleep to it. Like it's just background noise. It's his comfort or whatever. For me, like an early 80s slasher, I'll watch the fucking worst one you can throw at me and I will watch it with glee. Like I'll be like, oh yeah, you know, like I just have a different I have a different like rating scale for that or something, you know, because there's just
like SOB like most of those I can watch and as long as they're made like before 1990 like 7.
No, I love SOV, but again I can't say that they're like objectively, you know, great movies or something, but there's a comfort or something. It's just it hits that part of my brain.
Yeah, like anytime, almost all horror movies made before like 95 I could watch and then be okay with it to a certain point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We'll go quick on some of these. I'm going to skip some of them. We already talked about The Pit and My Bloody Birthday. I meant wins. Night School.
That one. Okay, so Final Exam, Graduation Day, and Night School kind of are like that's the school trilogy of 1981, and I would say Night School is the weakest of those.
Oh, I think Night School is the best of the three.
Oh, really?
I mean, it's the most classy in this sleazy kind of way. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't like classy.
It's classy, trashy. Hospital Massacre. Speaking of just trashy.
Yeah, that one's all right. I think I remember because it's also is it X-ray? Is that what it's also called? Yep. Yeah, like I think I always think it's better than it is when I watch it.
It's really silly. Absurd.
Have I seen that? Oh, Joe D'Amato.
Anthropophagus 2.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. Yeah,
Halloween, basically.
Yeah.
Madhouse.
Madhouse. I'm still going Bloody Birthday, but I do like Madhouse.
Don't Go in the Woods.
I love Don't Go in the Woods Alone. Hello, it's ... alone.
Yeah. That also has a theme music.
It is stupid as hell. It is probably of all the ones that we've talked about, it is probably the worst quality. And then
it might be the worst quality of 1981.
It may be, but there's something I really like about that movie. I don't know why. And even the absurdity of basically the two people escape and they get to the hospital. But then like the whole third act is like the guy going back and trying to save the other person. Yeah. Like, why the fuck did you leave anyway? You know, if you're just going to go back. But I do dig that one.
The Boogans.
Ew. I love that movie. That one I'm gonna have to go with the Boogans because I love the atmosphere because it's so cold and it's kind of maybe the same thing as like My Bloody Valentine. It's so cold outside and that's where you feel like all the bad stuff would happen. It's dark and it's cold, but like you get in the house and the bar and those are like comfortable places, but that's where the danger is like the warm, comfy place. And there's something I really love about that. Plus, I love, what's her face? Anne-Marie Martin, or, you know, I think that's what she went by then. I think she was
Any other ones you want to mention? I can't remember the actress. I can't remember anybody in the Boogans except an old man running through the thing. I watched a few times.
Rebecca Balding was in that, which she did a couple other movies. I really liked her. I think she was actually married to the director of this, or ended up marrying the director of this. But I like that because I like the dynamic too, because the two female leads have a good dynamic and they're fun. And I dig that one.
So, I mean, My Bloody Birthday is up there high for you. It's in your top 10.
It is
Maybe
probably,
even top 5.
Yeah, because it is, like I said, it is my favorite Killer Kid movie by far. And yeah, it's got to be probably top 10 all time, I would think. So yeah, so doing the comparison is probably not too fair for this one.
No. One thing I should mention is this score. I could have, like, if you would have told me it was Harry Manfredini, I'd have like, yeah, sure, that's definitely Harry Manfredini, but it's not.
Yeah.
And I was like, so they must have been doing the Harry Manfredini thing for sure. It sounds a lot like The Children or Friday the 13th. I mean, they're definitely trying to kind of bring in that magic.
Right. Well, The Children and Friday the 13th, which are the same score, but
yes, he got paid double on one of them.
Yes.
Oh, I feel like most of his scores are very similar, you know?
Oh, yeah. He's like, well, I mean, it's the same thing kind of with John Carpenter and his horror movies. Like, I mean, he branches out in some of his other movies, but like his score always is like, oh, yeah, John Carpenter definitely did that. Like,
I think that Manfredini, though, feels way. Carpenter, I can tell the difference.
He's kind of a one note guy. Yeah, so. I'll give you that.
Unless it's a disco version, and then we got something special.
I don't. Oh yeah, that's my ringtone, right? Motherfucker.
The disco so silly, it's great.
I love it.
So I guess we should mention the director Ed Hunt a little bit here. Ed Hunt also did The Brain, which is a super bizarre, weird movie, more sci-fi horror. You ever seen the Brain?
I have not, but so my shower curtain. Yeah, okay, so now I'm talking about my shower curtain. Okay, we're at that point in the show.
Is it The Brain?
Well, The Brain is on it. It is like a mishmash of horror posters.
Oh, it's a great poster.
Yeah, it is a great poster, and it's one of the few on my shower curtain, because, you sit there, you're on the toilet, you're looking there going, I really should watch that one, because there are a few on there that I've never seen, and that is one, and I happened to see that he was the director of that, so... It's on my watch list.
Space meatball is what it looks like. It looks like a angry space meatball floating through space with its mouth. It's like the horror version of Meatwad or something, like on the cover, but it's a brain. It's a fun movie. It's not, I'm not going to oversell it, because then you're going to watch it and be like, that was a 2.5 out of 5.
Hey, that's fine with me.
I probably.
But I don't think I'd ever seen any 7,
of. But I'm nuts.
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever seen any of his other stuff. He didn't really do very much from what I was looking at.
So I was listening to a lot of the special features on here, and just hearing stories from the producer. And the producer was just like, Ed Hunt was the biggest moron I ever worked with in my life. That's what he said. I was like, Jesus. And then Chris Alexander was on there, and he was like, he wrote me these notes, and he was much nicer, obviously. And he was like, they seem like they were kind of all over the place, and then I'm listening to the commentary, and it has Uncle Creepy on there. And he's doing a fucking great job moderating this thing. And the director I'm not trying to be a dick, because I like Bloody Birthday, and he's not, I don't think he's an idiot. Obviously, that's not what's going on. He probably just didn't want to do the commentary. He's not really a good talker, but it was literally like one of these deals. It's like, so Creepy would go on about this whole thing, and he'd be like, so what do you think about that? Or did you do this? Or what was cut out of here? Why was the MPA so strict? And he'd be like, I don't really have an answer for that. I don't know. And then just garbage worst commentary I ever heard. I don't think
don't even do it. If you aren't willing to elaborate on anything, if you have nothing to say, just don't do it.
I don't even think he remembered. I just don't know. It was literally the worst commentary I've ever heard. I just was like, I literally was making fun of a commentary the other day, exaggerating it as like an old man, because I always like to make fun of old people. And then I listened to this commentary, and I was like, I can't do it with this one, because that is just this. This is what I was talking. He just I don't know what it was. It was weird. It was fucking bonkers. But it was like the guy was trying to save it so hard that I just started feeling bad for the guy moderating it.
Yeah, can you throw me a bone here, dude?
Yeah,
can you tell me an anecdote, please?
He's like, for the love of God, go off on a political rant. Anything, save me.
And yeah,
anything.
Talk about Julie Brown's boobs. I don't care.
We should mention the hole in the wall thing. The peep show thing is absolutely demented.
Fucking
Another
great.
80s prank. Another 80s prank.
The other thing I love about Debbie is she's also enterprising, and she never really does she's kind of like the Charles Manson of the group. She doesn't really like do the heavy lifting. Like she more directs the guys to do stuff, you know?
You think Curtis is in charge until about the halfway point. You're like, no, Debbie is pulling the strings. She's the smart one. And you think Curtis is like, there's one part in the movie where you see Curtis working on the electrical stuff. And like, it never, I feel like Curtis should have electrocuted someone, honestly. Because you see how clever he is. And the gun thing is great too. I mean, like, you're right. The third kid's kind of worthless. He doesn't have much to do.
He's I couldn't even remember his name before I rewatched it this time. Yeah.
And I remember Curtis and Debbie verbatim. Like I just know who they are. Like the other two, the other kid, I'm like, I don't know who that is. I don't know. Yeah.
The goon.
He's blonde. He's blonde hair, and he has a baseball bat. Yeah, that's about it. But no, I just think the ending I love too, because it's just like such a good ending. Just leaving it open like that.
And I just love how they don't. There are a few times in this movie too where, again, I'm sure it was like budgetary stuff. Like you can just tell, like, well, we're not going to go get these women and like be able to film inside a hospital and show them having babies or whatever. So we're just going to have like the moon, and we're just going to have these women and doctors talking over it, you know. But like the way they did it with her at the end, and like she presumably killed the truck driver or whatever, but they don't show it. Like again, probably because it was probably that may have been cut, but I like that, just that very subtle thing where it's like, yes, mommy, you know, and you just see his body. And
it's such an awful way to die. We all know how that is. Like we know that somebody gets crushed. It's just an awful way to die.
Yeah,
like, and I could just see her being like, oh, what are you doing? Like talking to him. I can already visualize her, how she talked to him, and just
her foot on the jack going.
Yeah, just kicking
it.
Oh, what do you do when you press this button? She'd probably ask how you jack it up, and then he'd tell her while he's doing it. Because she's cute and he'd be nice to her, and then she's like, all of a sudden he's just like, oh, so like this? Don't touch that. Done. Is there anything you wanted to talk about Bloody Birthday? Anything else, or did you want some plugs or anything? Want to talk about 1981 as a whole? Anything else?
I wish I could go back to 1981 and be like a 21-year-old.
Me too.
Yeah, but you know, I probably wouldn't have appreciated it. Like I know you're probably Facebook friends with Donald Farmer. Yeah. Like he saw every freaking movie at the drive-in.
He's an encyclopedia too.
When it came out, like, I mean, like I wish I was like Donald was in like 1981. Like I wish I could just be a fly on the wall with that. But still, 81, yes. Like I've said, this is like the year that it's just hard when you talk about like when you do shows where people are like of the 80s or whatever. Like I have to force myself out of 81 and pick things like, I mean, it may be like 81, 82, 80 or whatever. Like I have to go, okay, you got to find something from 87 you can talk about, or else people are just going to like be like, okay, the old ladies are back on here.
I mean, I love 80, 81, 82, 85, 86, 87, and 88. But 83, 84, and 89, I'm like, they're great years because they're 1980s years, but they're not up to snuff with those other years for me.
Right. Like if you had to compare them, but they're still better than 92. 93.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
The only thing that saves those early 90 years are the weird Hong Kong movies that you've never seen, and you go to watch all of them, and you're like, these are fucking nuts. Otherwise, you're just like,
it was the dark ages.
I hate 1997 to 2004. Oh, those are the worst American movies ever made. Worst horror movies, worst American horror films. Unless, you know what I mean? Horrible.
Yeah. No, I've already plugged everything, so you can listen to me on the Slumber Party Massacre podcast with my girls. We talk about a lot of inappropriate things in horror movies, and we like to listen to ourselves talk.
It's probably the only all-female-led horror movie podcast.
There is another one. I think there are a couple more, but there is another one that's come out fairly recently that I've tried to support.
One.
I can't. I know, but that was,
I'm just kidding.
That was the whole story behind it. We all were on shows where we were the quote unquote token chick. It was like we all played bass. You know, we were the token bass player in all of our bands, and we were like, "Fuck this! Let's just all get together and make our own band." And it's. I think that I don't. You know, I record it, and I don't really care if people listen or not. But I think that people do appreciate a different perspective.
For sure.
Because in horror, a lot of times, and men might even think that we're lying when we say this. You don't know how many times I've been like challenged by somebody. Like they're trying, they're trying like, whoa, but do you know who did this in this movie? Blah, blah, blah. Like, dude, don't.
It's such a pathetic high school mentality, and I like if you don't stop doing that kind of shit after like high school, you are a loser.
Yeah, like, I mean, I don't have to prove it to you, but the fact of the matter is, it's refreshing to talk to a bunch of people who aren't trying to one up you.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not saying anything about, I love all my guy podcaster friends or whatever, but there is a certain thing where you have to be a little louder and you have to be a little more, like, you have to know a little more and stuff sometimes. And it's like a relief for us to like be able to get together and be like, ugh, we're not going to be like gatekeeping shit like some boys like to do.
For sure. And the one bad thing about the horror community or any community like that, fandom in general, is weak people will try to make you feel bad for not seeing something or not knowing something. And so a lot of people act like they know shit they don't know, instead of just being like, I don't really know, or I'm not sure. It's okay to not know. It's okay. Right. You can't see it all. And anyone that tells you they've seen it all, they haven't seen shit, because right when they dig under the surface, they find out about 500 other movies they never fucking heard of.
Yeah. And it is like a competition to a certain extent. Like, after getting out of some of the shows that I did before, where I felt like I had to watch every fucking movie that came out, when it came out, like, it's a lot of pressure, and it takes away the enjoyment. Like, I want to watch movies because exactly, a full-time job. And, I'm not into that anymore.
Oh, me either. That's why
my letterbox is not like, my letterbox isn't a competition with anybody.
Yeah, like it's who gives a shit? Like I don't know. I feel like that is I'm not gonna lie. I've heard a lot of podcasts where like I'll listen and like a lot of like girls or women or whoever will get drowned out, and you're just like, That's why I was like, if there was ever a guest on the show that I'd always try to be like, hey, so what do you think? If I notice they're getting drowned, I try because like if you're going on a show, you're going to get drowned out a lot if you're not used to being on a show, no matter who you are. So it's just like, it can be a lot of, it's, I've heard a lot of shows where people get drowned out. It sucks. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, maybe I don't have anything to say, but maybe I do. Hey, but I'm the kind of person who I will just butt in and be like, shut the fuck up.
I will too. Unless I just get entirely disconnected. I'll start like that in the beginning, and then towards the end, I'm like, I've lost interest in everything.
It's just like I'm on mute and filing my nails and like watching MS2-3K.
I did my taxes, guys. I appreciate you coming on, though. A lot of knowledge. Appreciate it. Maybe you'll come on for something from 82.
I will do that. Yeah, pick something maybe that you haven't heard me say is like one of my favorite movies of all time, so that maybe whenever you do the comparison thing, I can actually have movies that are above it.
Oh, maybe. I do. I was just like, man, I always try to get somebody that knows a lot about the movie or really likes it, or both. And there's no way like you want to invite somebody on and my buddy's birthday. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say they loved it. I mean, I've heard them say like, yeah, I've never heard anyone say they hate it, but I've never heard anyone say like, that's one of my all-time favorites. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I appreciate you coming on.
Oh, well, I was on a podcast once. This will be the last thing I'll tell you. I was on a podcast once with a friend of mine, and then he invited another guy. And I can't remember what the theme was, but like Monkey Shines was the movie we picked. And I picked it and the guy picked it. And like, so all three of us were on there. We got on there, like the showrunner and I really liked the movie. And we picked the movie to talk about because we liked it. The other guy like just started shitting on it horribly. He picked it because he hated the movie. And it was the most awkward fucking thing. Yeah. So you got to pick somebody. Yeah. Like he knew a lot about it, but he hated it. I'm like, you spend an awful lot of like energy on something you don't like. To the point where we scrapped the episode and we did something else. But yeah, you want to have somebody who has knowledge and like at least some sort of appreciation for the film, or else it's just going to be a bitch fest.
Yeah, no doubt. And I was like, I lived for 37 years. I'm tired of bitch fest. You know what I mean? Yes. I'm tired of Complaint Fest 2000 or whatever year it is. Yes. But anything you want to plug? Again, we have the Slumber Party Massacre. We have Tin Roof, right?
Yes, Tin Roof, which is rendering. The full movie is rendering right now. Of course, it won't be the last time that the full movie is rendering, but
have faith.
Yeah, it's getting scored, and I got to get this thing out of my life. But yes, so it is a camp slasher for adults. So for adults who were counselors, and they were campers and counselors at this local summer camp that's going to get shut down because bad shit's happening. They go out to the camp to try to go viral to save the camp, and bad stuff goes on. So that's how I get my adults out there.
Nice.
Sounds
good.
It's fun. Yeah.
No, I mean, we haven't really had a camp slasher. What, Bloody Bible Camp? That was one. That was a camp slasher. I'm trying to think of some other ones that came out within the last, Bloody Bible Camp's probably 15 years old now, right?
Yeah, there was one, I think it was called Bloody Summer Camp or something, but it was, I think whatever that movie was that I watched, it was kind of like they were just trying to be almost like spoofy of old camp movies. But
the one problem with a lot of... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, thanks for having me on, man.
Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. Well, we're out of here. See you guys.
All right.
Beth? Beth? Now come over here. Now what's your name?
Beth Simpson.
All right. And remember, no talking to strangers.
I won't, Mommy. From now on, I'm going to be your good little girl.